Thank you for joining me today. For the last few months I've been working on a design for a fantasy game, which has cut into my uploading of Musket Battles videos. So now I'm going to try and rectify that by uploading a Gettysburg video. Now, as I said before, I've played this Gettysburg Scenario hundreds of times. And lately what I've come to enjoy is a shorter version of the Gettysburg. Rather than 3 days, I cut it down to just the first day, and I do that by making the Union try and hold Gettysburg proper. I unpack bags right in or just south of Gettysburg, and the Union has to hold Gettysburg. Now, no sensible Union player would ever do that, while at the same time, it's not necessarily a slam dunk for the Confederacy, and the Union player can rally his spent blocks. It's a tough fight for the Union, but it's not a given. Now, I prefer playing with the divisional blocks as opposed to the brigade blocks. The brigade blocks look cooler on the map, but when it comes to playing the game, it's just more blocks to move, more combats to resolve, a lot of dice rolling. And when I'm recording a video, it's just that much more trouble. However, for short, smaller battles, like Day 1 of Gettysburg, I'm going to use the brigade blocks. Again, it just looks cooler. Alright, enough blah blah blah, let's go to the map. Let's begin with an initial overview. Here's Gettysburg. Just west of Gettysburg, here you have Buford's 2 brigades of Gamble and Devon's. Now, Buford didn't show up until the rest of the cavalry shows up on day 3. So I'll add the cavalry chit to the cup, but without Pleasanton there, they don't attack, they only defend, which makes sense, because historically they weren't thinking about attacking the Southern Army. They were thinking, oh my God, the whole Southern Army is coming down on our couple of brigades. What are we supposed to do? Here you have the Confederate Corps. 3rd Corps will be coming on here, and 1st Corps much later in the day. 2nd Corps will be coming down from the north. The Union has 1st and 11th Corps coming up this road, and a little later, Stannard's division of Howard's 11th Corps will come on, followed by Sickles' 3rd Corps. And then towards the end of the day, Slocum's 12th Corps will come on up the road here. And then through the night and into the second day, the Union Army just swells up with reinforcements. Though actually on the early part of the first day, the Union has almost as many and sometimes even more troops on the board than the Confederates. But they're straggling up these roads, and the Confederates are all just coming on, boom, right here. That means there's lots of wisdom to the Union kind of holding up there a bit as they can and then falling back along the historical button hook, forcing the South to do all this marching. By fighting on the first day, it's Lee's dream. Everything is right here, and the North must trickle up what they can. Now, if you unpack bags, you're vulnerable because your bags are unpacked. But when you unpack bags, it allows you to rally your troops and bring your army up to full strength. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Reynolds' 1st Corps with the bags deploy them in or near Gettysburg. That means the Union has to hold at Gettysburg, because if you pack up the bags and move them, that's the end of the game. You've lost. So they're going to unpack bags and hold at Gettysburg. It's an intense first day. Alright, so let me draw some chits, play out the first turn up to the point of combat, and I'll show you where it's at. So after the movement on chit draw on turn 1, we see Reynolds coming up here with his 1st Corps, and he's got a lot of detachments. Now, when you're playing versus another player, the labels are facing you, but I'm trying to make this sensible for viewers. So the labels are up so you can follow along. Ordinarily, when you're playing, the labels are facing you, your opponent doesn't know, and if something becomes spent, you flip the label upside down. Now you can see that it's spent. Your opponent doesn't know, because you don't know how. You might know you've done damage, but did you do that? How much damage? You don't know. Now, as we zoom down just west of Gettysburg, see that Buford was drawn first and was able to advance along the Chambersburg Pike. Because he's here, Heath couldn't come out of column and attack. So he came out of column, he's going to try to attack next turn. And Gamble is out here on Hare Ridge, making sure that there's no wide sweeps. And out here, east of Hanover Road, we see it's turn 2. Now turn 1 was early morning, turn 2 is mid-morning. There are no new reinforcements this turn. Alright, here we see the general disposition of the units on turn 2. Reynolds was able to move up and through Gettysburg with his 1st Corps, but they're still in column They're not able to deploy till later in the morning. Now here west of Gettysburg, Buford's cavalry was able to hold up and delay the Southern advance. Thus far the cavalry has been able to avoid a general engagement. And now we move to late morning. The rest of Reynolds' Corps will arrive, as well as most of Howard's 11th Corps. On the southern side, A.P. Hill sees Pender's division arrive along with his artillery. Now here it's turn 3, late morning action. Reynolds has seen dust clouds to the north, indicating there's an oncoming southern force. He's asked Robertson with his division to cover the northern roads. Meanwhile, Wadsworth's division is taking the brunt of the southern assault at this point. Buford's cavalry has fought a fighting withdrawal and are now just behind the seminary on Seminary Ridge. Doubleday's division has come up the Hagerstown Road, and they're going to stiffen the line on First Corps' left. Hill has brought his bags forward a little bit as Heath's division pushes towards Gettysburg. And here, Heath runs in to the Iron Brigade. The Iron Brigade holds. Heath's attack has suffered terrible losses. And now it's turn 4, midday. Midday and Ewell's Corps hits from the north. Alright, so here we see turn 4. As more Southern troops have appeared, Reynolds was forced to fall back. If he tried to hold them here where he was, Ewell's arriving corps would just surround him. Alright, this is early afternoon, turn 5. Sigel's Corps is seen coming on. Howard's 11th Corps has joined the front lines. Buford's cavalry division is out watching the Confederate left. Lee is having a strategic conference with A.P. Hill and Richard Ewell. He wants A.P. Hill to swing around to the left and Ewell to the right, and then Longstreet is coming right up the center later that day. He informs A.P. Hill that it may have been a bit premature to deploy Baggs right there, since he intends to have him do the lion's share of his fighting around on the Confederate right. But A.P. Hill says he had no choice after Heath's impetuous assault in the early morning hours. There was nothing left and he needed his bags. Now thus far there's been an exchange of fire all along these two lines, but nothing heavy, nothing assault worthy. But now in the late afternoon, turn 6, that may be about to change. Turn 6, late afternoon, and the battle heats up. On the Union right, Pleasanton's cavalry is in a tight spot. Now Devon's cavalry can just fade back from the infantry, which they do. But Gamble's brigade is being flanked by Jenkins' cavalry. This is a battle they can't run away from. In a wild, unexpected result, Jenkins' cavalry is destroyed. Gamble's cavalry is spent in retreats. And here Ewell's Corps, Early and Rhodes divisions, attack the Union line. Howard's 11th Corps. Now here I've got something new I'm trying out. Rhodes' division is attacking Steinway's division. Now Rhodes is 4 blocks deep. What that means is he can keep moving up. If he's using units, he can keep moving up and hammering at the Union line. But if the forward unit retreats, it pushes back everything behind it. So when you have to retreat, what you can do is simply eliminate the unit. They're pushing hard. Let's start over here with Early's division. Skirts' division takes heavy losses and falls back. Over here in Early's division, the crack troops are attacking the green troops of Barlow's division. Howard's green troops actually held on doing the best they could. But the elite troops were just too much, but they did suffer some damage. But Barlow's division has ceased to be, and Rhodes accelerated assault on the last of Howard's corps. Rhodes took heavy losses, but he pushed the Union back. And over here in the Union right, Heath is attacking Doubleday. Doubleday has skirmishers deployed out front. Skirmishers are driven in. Rockenborough's brigade is exhausted and falls back. Pettigrew's men surge forward. And there's a hole in the Union line. To the left there's a thin line of detachments. With some trouble, they are driven off. The Union line actually looked pretty good, but after these late afternoon assaults, the Union is in pain. And now we go to turn 7, early evening. So here we have turn 7. Now you've got Sickles' Corps approaching. Turn 7 also sees Slocum's 12th Corps arrive. Oh, forgot 2nd and 3rd Corps' reinforcements. So here's 3rd Corps, they went first. They moved to there. I pulled Anderson's off because they wouldn't be able to get off in time for this intersection which Johnson's division needs to use to move on as fast as possible. This time Buford's cavalry can and does fall back. We've got some hot fighting right in Gettysburg. And then Rhodes drives on the last of Howard's corps, trying to open a path to the bags. The fighting is desperate. Rhodes pushes. But when the Yankees won't move, he falls back. Now A.P. Hill's attack on Reynolds' extreme left. When we come to turn 8, last turn of the day, the Union line is a shambles. However, many of the Southern troops are spent. It's been an exhausting attack. Now it's turn 8 and Longstreet and most of his corps arrive. And here at the end of the day on turn 8, A.P. Hill's blocks were able to contact the Union bags. Had Reynolds made his roll and moved first, he could have blocked the Confederate assault before it touched the bags. And then next turn is night turn, huge Union reinforcements show up. But in a failure of command on the Union part, at the end of the day, the Union Army is retreating from Gettysburg. Good game.